and gentlemen, welcome to the Slovenian barcraft of the World Championship Series Europe. It is the round of 16, our final day here in the Group D, and we have the Slovenians in the house. Oh, there they are. I was worried for a second. I thought maybe they'd stepped out or something, but they are going to be very rowdy and very noisy tonight, so you'll just have to bear with us because they're here to support one particular player, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But before then, let's talk about what happened yesterday and show you Group C. If you weren't with us, you missed a magnificent Group C set of matches. 5 games yesterday, and as you can see, the gold men were Genius and Nurcio in the end, overcoming his old foe 4GG and dumping him out of WCS Season 3. Also leaves him with a bit of a mountain to climb as far as the Blizzard points are concerned as well. So those two go through. Let's also show you all 4 groups this week because we've had a terrific 4 days of StarCraft 2, or 3 previous, and today, of course. On Tuesday, Targa and Stardust going through in Group A. Vortex and MC, of course, in Group B rather more predictably, but MC doing it the hard way, of course. And then yesterday, as we said, Genius surprising everyone with a 4-0, and he went through alongside Nurcio. Today, it's MMA, Titan, the European champion Duck, and this 16-year-old kid from Slovenia. Told you they were going to be rowdy. Right, OK, let's go and find out what Grubby thinks about today, and, of course, catch up with him from yesterday as well. Monsieur Manuel, yesterday, Group C was interesting with Genius. You were really impressed with him.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Genius. Definitely going to be watching those VODs back. 4-0 in very perfect fashion, and every build that he did looked very well prepared for his opponent. So he wasn't only well prepared, but it was also very good execution.
Yeah, it was very interesting yesterday in terms of the group stage. We're in our final group today. It's also the last hosting I get to do for WCS Europe, so it's kind of sad for me. I almost don't want to go away. But
I'm going to miss you, Paul.
I know you are, but we've got In Control here next week for the final, so that's really cool as well. So Group D, let's take a look at the 4 players on the screen and go through them one by one. They're all well known, but for different reasons. MMA, I think we know all about him. Triple Crown winner in the past, was great in Season 1 WCS Europe. Duck, of course, reigning WCS champion. First time we've had the champion back in the round of 16 with a chance at another title. That's never been done before. Titan, deceptively good, often underestimated, deadly if you do. And then Starbuck, the new kid on the block, 16-year-olds, massive support from Slovenia. 4 players that almost, I don't know whether you want to admit this or it's just me, but I feel like any of these could go through tonight.
Yeah, I think you're right. All 4 are very good. And, I mean, we've got MMA, who's the last Terran here. Actually, I came up with a little description for each player. I hope I don't mess them up. MMA, cute as puppies, very strong, last Terran. And we've got Titan. He's kind of an oddball. He's very intense, very strong, and sometimes quite average. Like, he can be really, really good, but no matter what, he always has his own style. And then we've got Starbuck. He's very young, very young. Sometimes that means they're not phased by anything because they don't know exactly what everything means yet. At least that's how I felt in my young days. I was going to
say, yeah, you were, what, 17, I think, when you went to your first tournament? Yeah. And it's kind of just a blur. You don't really care about anything, do you? Just like going in and you just play your game.
Exactly, exactly. And then who's the last one? Duck, the Korean crusher. Very special strategies. Looks like he puts a lot of thought into preparing against his opponents as well. All 4 could do really well here. I didn't expect Starbuck to advance from my group in the round of 32.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'm glad you did, because actually he didn't just beat you, he also beat Luciferon to get through the group. So that was a huge result for him.
It seemed a bit like a coming-of-age journey for him, because the first series he lost against Luciferon, he looked as wet as tissues, and the second time he met Luciferon, he really rallied himself. He was a lot stronger, and I really didn't think he could do it. Like, he was chances the first series, a little bit of time, a little bit of confidence along the way, and suddenly it was a different Starbuck.
It's funny, isn't it? We've seen that quite a lot this season. Last season, we saw players that lost in their first game go through to their second chance and lose that one as well, and it kind of just fizzled out. This season, we've had players doing it all over the place. It's happened twice, 3 times now in the round of 16. It happened twice in the round of 32. What do you put that down to? Are players getting better at adapting to their opponents?
I think it's partly that, Red-Eye, definitely. It's partly learning from the situation as well. And it may be partly mental as well. Like, yeah.
Okay. Let's take a look at the bracket for tonight and show you the playing order as well. MMA versus Starbuck will be first, and then Titan versus Duck Duck is our second game, and all PvP games, so that's why we've got Grubby up here right now, because he'll be back for the commentary on Titan versus Duck Duck. But first of all, we've got MMA Starbuck. We'll talk about those in just a moment, but don't forget, social media, still very active. Thank you for all your tweets yesterday, all your predictions. It was an incredible night. If you'd like to join in and send us your predictions today, do so on Twitter via #WCS, of course, and make sure you're following @StarCraft either on Twitter or on Facebook.com as well. Time to have a look at our first matchup this evening. It's going to be a very, very interesting match. It's like, I don't know if it's quite, you know, David versus Goliath in the truest sense, but it's definitely experience versus the exuberance of youth. That's absolutely what this is. Just look at their results so far. Tails and Baby Knight being defeated by MMA in the round of 32, and Starbuck, as we said earlier, losing to Lucifron, then beating some player, and then beating Lucifron just after that. I'm trying not to say your name.
That's very kind, very kind. I almost forget about that day, thanks.
I'm trying to help you get over it. We're moving on. We're rehabilitating.
We still have the rest of the week to get over it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I believe Starbuck also beat Genius in the WCS Challenger.
Yes,
I mean, the
actually,
WCS qualifier.
Yeah, the qualifiers, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was in the same group as him as well, in that same group that Genius came through. And we saw how good he was yesterday.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good measurement.
After we played our group, he was like, it's such a pity that I didn't get to meet Genius in our group, like that I had to meet you, because we talk quite a lot, we're friendly. And he's like, because I would have liked to play Genius again and do my special strats and whatnot. Okay. We don't have much to base on, like we don't have much comparison material for this matchup, because how many times have we seen Starbuck on LAN? How many times have we seen him against top tier Koreans? And MMA, he probably doesn't know exactly what he has to expect.
Yeah, no, you're very right. I think in terms of the crowd, I think we know exactly where the support is going to go this evening for these two. But it is time for our first match. We'll get into the map vetoes very shortly. It's the Korean Triple Crown winner, MMA, going up against the virtually unknown Starbuck, who has breezed his way into the round of 16. It's time to go over to our commentators for match number 1 of Group D, to Apollo and Kalaris.
Thanks very much, guys. Welcome to the commentary desk here for what is supposed to be, and probably will be, a very cool series, MMA versus Starbuck. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is going to be definitely a good way to kick off the last day of the round of 16 here. And, well, which way is it going to go? Is it going to go in favor of MMA, who is, you know, on his way back to the top without that big win yet, but it's definitely coming closer and closer and closer. And he will go up against the Coffee Zerg in the likes of Starbuck here.
The Coffee Zerg.
Who, you know, for a lot of the players that come to the stage, I'd like to say, they come, you know, with a lot to prove. But he has nothing to prove. He has no expectations. He comes in as a player that a lot of people don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
May not even think he deserves a spot in the round of 16. Pressure's off his shoulders when it comes to that point.
And this is the first time, you know, he's been at one of these big LAN events. And one thing that is abundantly apparent as we look at this map vetoes is he's the tallest man on Earth. I did not expect this of the 16-year-old. But this is going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to this.
You can imagine if Starbuck and MMA got into a fight, Starbuck would put his hand out on top of MMA's head, and MMA would be just like running on the spot.
MMA is like, okay, this guy's pretty big. I'm a little bit more intimidated than I was expecting to be.
You were sitting down in his computer chair all day. He didn't look that big, but he actually is. All right, so there is Starbuck on the right-hand side playing for Team MIA. That is put across his chest there, as well as MMA playing for Team Acer. And the vetoes have begun. So Ackle and Waste just out the way here, and Frost, and then Derelict Watcher and Polar Knight from MMA, which leaves us with Belshire Vestige and Whirlwind, and then Yunsu.
I'm surprised Yonsu's actually got through this. I will say that for a fact here, unless MMA is looking to go for some Reaper play very, very early on that map. Because Yonsu's one of those maps that is obviously newer, people have less experience on it, but just in general, because it's a smaller map, aggression is a bit stronger on it. And, you know, that's something we're kind of expecting here from a player like Starbuck against MMA.
All right, well, here is Starbuck on the right-hand side. They're just about to set up. And there is MMA on the other side, making sure he is warm and in condition. The amount of experience that MMA has under his belt compared to Starbuck is absolutely insane.
Yes.
Absolutely insane.
Crazy, crazy numbers behind that man.
Yonsu is the first map here, then Belshire Vestige, then Whirlwind. We know the playstyles of both players. MMA, of course, being the fast-paced, want to make you sick and confused and dizzy Terran. And then we have Starbuck, who can play a straight-up game, can play a long, drawn-out, long upgrades, Ultralisks, Broodlords if need be game. But he also has something very special about him in the way that he has the ability to do absolutely anything when it comes to aggression. There's many different timings to hit when it comes to playing Zerg versus Terran, and that's something that MMA here, with his 80% against Zerg, will have to keep in consideration.
Yeah, it's a pretty good win ratio, and those Zergs are no pushovers. Just in general, if we take a look at who MMA has actually played in terms of those Zergs, the most recent have been against people like Yu-Gi-Oh 2-0, Snoot 2-1, and losing to Scala is the loss that is kind of a stain on that record. But aside from that, he's really, really strong against Zergs, and if the Zerg allows it to get to the later stages of the game, MMA can run you over.
Seen MMA play a lot of games for a very long time in his career, and he's played the same style over and over and over. And then this guy, new to the Premier League, new to the round of 16, hasn't got that many games under his belt, which obviously inflate his win record here against Protoss and Zerg. 50% against Terran, but to be honest, when a player is this new and the sample size is that small, we can even just look past the statistics for now and just look at who he is. Keen to use special tactics. Just that sentence alone is going to get us excited. We saw what he did against Genius in Challenger League with the drone drill. We know that he's capable of any type of all-in, but this is going to be the first map, and it absolutely could be one of those maps. It's not very big. It's just a 2-player map, and it is definitely possible. On this or Belshir Vestige, I'm eager to see what the Coffee Zerg brings to the table.
Yeah, so am I. I was thinking, though, to myself, with... Because we were mentioning it at the very end of yesterday's broadcast that, Starbuck has been very vocal about actually wanting to use something a bit more aggressive against a Terran opponent like MMA. So maybe MMA knows about this, but then if you think about that, how would Starbuck play? I think he doesn't go for something super aggressive at the very beginning. I think he focuses more on the transition into mid-game aggression. I think that could work out really well.
He's got a lot of room. He's got a lot of room to choose what he wants. But remember who these two players are. We've got a relatively unknown versus a player who's looking to get back to BlizzCon. He's currently outside of the top 16. He's been a BlizzCon before. He's won the GSL tournament back then in October 2011, 2 years ago. He still remembers it to this day, and I spoke to him before, and he wishes to go back. And he will have to advance from this group if he wants to, as now the first game of the day, day 4 in the round of 16, is upon us.
I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a good one. Spawning up to the top right-hand corner as our Red Terran, representing Acer as well as Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for MMA. And then down to the bottom left-hand corner, our newcomer to Premier League, representing MIA as well as Slovenia. Give it up for Starbuck.
There he is. He's on the stage. He's playing face-to-face against a multiple StarCraft 2 champion, a player that in his career has seen it all. He's had the wins, he's had the girls, he's had the fans, he's had everything. Nowadays, not quite the same in 2013, but is on his way back up there, very close. And for me, personally, some people like to say that MMA is back to his same playstyle, to the same dominance, to the same level. For me, I will grin and nod when he wins. Just give me a tournament victory and then I'll be happy. Until then, as an MMA fan and just who he is, he needs that win. But on the other side, Grubby brings up a really, really good point. I was playing at 16. Grubby was playing at that age too. There's been many a player that plays at 16 competitively. You don't have the worries of the world. You don't need to worry about making money. You live with your family. You don't need to worry about paying the internet bill, your rent. You don't need to worry about work. School is something you do as a side thing because it's easy at that age. If he only focuses, and I said this earlier in my blog, if he only focuses on pink unicorns, rainbows, and how to play StarCraft 2 Kalaris, then he could be coming in today with no pressure at all.
the coffee Zerg maybe have drank too much coffee if that would be the case. But anyway, we have the Reaper opening on the way here for MMA. This is kind of what I was expecting from a map of Yonsu's caliber. And, you know, you were saying that MMA, you know, is he back? His last 2 tournament results have been pretty good. You know, 3rd and 4th at DreamHack, 3rd and 4th in the last season. But I have to kind of agree, you know, there needs to be that win because he is champion caliber. He was champion caliber. Needs that back.
As much as people are behind Starbuck, and I know there's a lot of people behind him today in the studio, behind him on the stream, it's MMA. You know, Starbuck technically isn't really meant to beat a player of this caliber, but anything is possible on this stage. We've seen it happen. Upsets happen all the time here. And can Starbuck bring a performance that warranties a place in the next part of this tournament, which would, of course, be the quarterfinals? He has opened up with 8 Zerglings here, and against a Reaper expand like this, he's going to use them just to buffer the drones, I suppose. Doesn't really want to lose a drone at this point, ideally.
Just microing them back where he can. That Reaper did not pursue the initial weakened drone, so does not get a kill in its entirety. Zerglings trying for the surround, but they're just, you know, waiting for the queens.
Yeah, I mean, they're buying time for the queens here. And 8 of them is because usually as a Terran player, you're always going to send 2 Reapers, not just 1. And you may lose a couple here, so he is just making sure he is safe. Sometimes some players may say 8 was too many. 6 is okay. 4 can be okay as well. But he is just making sure if he loses the drone when he's got 8 lings, then that's just bad.
Yeah, bought good time, and we'll shoo that away. Now, on the flip side of things, Starbuck here, you know, I was speaking to him before. There were a little nerves involved. Whoop. Trying to
I would be surprised if there wasn't nerves involved.
And he was listening to inspirational speeches on YouTube. So he's trying to get in the mood, get in the mentality here in the studio.
Well, of course, this is everything. This is everything for a StarCraft 2 player to play in this tournament. I mean, Titan later on almost retired because he didn't make it to this stage. It's everything. It's the World Championship Series.
That's how big it is.
It's the biggest thing to play in right now. And if you're not playing in it, then I'll leave it like that.
What are you doing if you're not playing in it is the question. You need to qualify for this. And, well, Zerglings do push this away. Saves the majority of the Zerglings there. Only loses 1 in total, so really good push away.
Yeah, so far so good. It's just taking a single gas now, the second one. It doesn't look like we will see aggression from Starbuck here. They are quite late added on gases, which means he's very mineral focused. And as you see in the top right-hand side of your screen, the minerals will rise up really, really fast now until he throws down a 3rd base. On the other side of things, MMA's opened up very normal. Just double Reaper into the factory. The Hellions will come together with the Reapers very soon to continue that harassment onto the Zerglings, the Queens, the Creep, the 3rd base, and the 3rd command center down as well. Just a very normal, expected game here from both sides so far.
Yeah, and MMA has done a good job of keeping these 2 Reapers alive. It's really important for those to stay alive. They get you good information. He sees the 3rd. Once they couple along with those Hellions for the extra harass, that could be great. Drones actually come off the line to try and surround this. Ooh.
Hellions slip into the main base, though, most importantly, and it's completely open. And Starbuck's been caught with no lings at this point. He's only got a handful, 5 lings, and then the drones. MMA's going to roast a lot here.
Oh, focusing his attention on the natural, took it away from the main, and this was a great move here by MMA. 11 workers have already gone down, as well as the lings dying off. He needs to keep these Hellions in with the Queens. Oh, but he can't block them.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. There's still no evolution chambers down either at this point for Starbuck, and he is starting to fall apart with his build at this point, I'd like to describe it as, because he's lost a lot of drones. He's lost 13 drones in total. What is he really spending with 160 gas at this moment? He started speed, but where's his evolution chambers? Where's his upgrades coming in? Is he going up to layer or what at this point? He has thrown down a single evolution chamber at this moment, but only 1, so we'll keep that in consideration. The layer has started as well. But a Queen off creep shouldn't be up there. A couple of mistakes here coming out from the youngster.
Just all in all, this really slows down what Starbuck would want to do going into this game. Of course, he came into game number 1 at least having a plan. And now that's going to hurt him. That's going to bite him in a little bit.
All right, and behind this MMA, just, you know, playing as MMA would. Double engineering base down.
Yeah.
Barracks down. Everything running smoothly. The Baneling Nest starts here with a single evolution chamber. That does actually mean that he's spending less on upgrades here. Only a single upgrade, not 2. And now the second evolution chamber comes in, so he is going to get towards that eventually. Maybe it's a mistake for not having that down there in the second one. Not too sure, you know, what's going on there. But so far he is set up in a regular but irregular way. So he's almost there, but he's not there at this moment.
And there was the beginning of Burrow as well for a second, but he does cancel it because, I guess there was just nerves getting to him, or, just a misclick, regardless, just a misclick. The Reaper jumps in and sees, the layer timing. He sees the second evolution chamber as well. So MMA has done great scouting to spot that second evo.
Yep, and at this point, MMA is going to be now just waiting on his medivacs, really, before he does anything else, which will be on the way very, very soon here, as you can see them starting the production tab. And Starbuck has started to stabilize. A bit of a rocky early game, but his creep spread's looking pretty good to me at this moment. His drone count's not that high. 56 drones, by the way. Not that high at all. Usually at this point, you'd be wanting a drone up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because your opponent's about to take a third. To be honest, you'd be ideally looking towards a fourth. So he is starting to drone up a little bit more to make sure he can keep up with MMA's economy. But he does have a lot of Zerglings. And a lot of Zerglings, as in 38 Zerglings at this moment. But that, to be honest, probably just to make sure he can deal with what's coming, which is usually the double medivac play, a couple of units coming across. I don't think he's hoping to do anything more aggressive with these.
And there's the 1-1 that's about to finish up here for MMA, which gives him a clear opportunity to pressure forwards a little bit, but then it has knock-on effects. 2-2 is going to be a little bit quicker as well here for MMA, and that is a big, big deal. Zergling's going
nice
for a
counter-attack here, launched here by Starbuck. Sends a couple of lings that haven't been spotted across the map well, having enough, like those 38 to defend at home, and he's going to get right into the main here, maybe? All right, front door's open, into the main he goes.
Nicely done.
MMA on the other side, though. Can Starbuck defend? He's got his Banelings. They're not quite with speed.
Oh, yes, Centrifugals is just barely not finished here, and that was a good split by MMA, forcing a lot of that.
He needs Banelings, he needs Lings. His Lings have been cleaned up in MMA's base, and now Starbuck's on the back foot. Where's the good detonations?
He needs them. He absolutely needs them, but he doesn't have any more Banelings. They've all gone. The Marines are going to clean up those Zerglings. This 1-1 timing before 1-1 has just finished for his opponent is great. Banelings are morphing into the right-hand side. MMA, these need to land for Starbuck.
He's lost a lot of overlords. He's overlord capped. The Banelings will clean this up, but he's slowed down a lot from the get-go of this game. He was slowed down, and he's going to get slowed down. MMA should pick up those units, and he will do. He could even split them up, one to the main, one to the third at this moment, and more units being sprayed across. Starbuck's in trouble. He's still overlord capped at 82 to 80. One overlord starts, 2, 3, 4 overlord start. Upgrades on the way for MMA. He's playing a much, much stronger game than Starbuck, and it seems like, well, mistakes are getting to the top of him here.
And a big problem for him is because he's supply blocked, he can't make any more army. And already MMA is at 55 army supply to 21. So if MMA wants to push across the map and continue to trade with his opponent, because he can, because of his production and his third base, he's going to be sitting pretty here.
Yeah, and look at this. MMA just pushing in the main base with this drop, can pick up and teases him a little bit more because there isn't a Spire, there isn't any Mutalisks. And on the right-hand side, MMA comes down once again. And unfortunately for Starbuck, it's spread very, very thin. He cannot lose his third base. Remember, at this point, a Terran should be looking to kill the fourth, not the third. So we can just kind of compare how bad this is going for the moment for Starbuck.
Is there any particular way that Starbuck can try and stabilize off this, or is this just going to snowball even further?
It's snowballing, because what we'll see very soon is a fourth command center started, more barracks being added on, more units coming across. At the moment, the only really way to deal with this is probably the Mutalisks, because they're able to stop the Medivacs. But at this point, it's just a downhill spiral, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. Look at the supply difference. 84, which he was probably at a couple of minutes ago, 140, and that's only going to keep on rising at this moment. MMA's running all over Starbuck, and unfortunately, actually, I'm looking at the third base. There is a couple of Lings that got in there, so, I mean, I guess that was okay, but, I mean, he did kill a couple of workers there. We missed that, but overall, this new wave of units, and then when the upgrade's complete for them as well.
And the Widow Mines. Yeah. The Widow Mines are going to be really hard.
15 Marines. 15 Marines.
At any given time, that's crazy numbers. He's going to fly in terms of this macro. And he's killing off this creep at the very front as well. The Banelings do have centrifugal hooks. They're going to try and chase this down, but the Widow Mines as well, they're going to cause them such a hard time to actually connect.
He's still in the 80 mark of supply, and MMA's cruising at 160 at the moment. Great spread here from MMA, and he's looking for the win. He's coming for the win, and to be honest, there's nothing really that Starbuck can do at this moment, and all his Banelings get killed off before they can even get morphed in. And well, this looks like it's going to be game number 1 in favor of Starbuck here. He's trying his very hardest to get as many units out as possible, but as we can see, that supply difference now 78 to 163.
Coffee Zerg needs to chug on some espresso very soon. Because if this happens in game number 2 as well, he could get run over. MMA now is looking dominant here in the first game, just sniping out the Banelings. The splits were great as well. Supply block, but it doesn't even matter. He's absolutely torturing Starbuck at this point. And there you go, GG for game number 1.
MMA takes game number 1, looking rather convincing there, as many people would be expecting from a player of his caliber. And he really is on top of form recently, and continues to show that here with map number 1. But now the big question is, We know that Starbuck came into this as the underdog. We know he probably came in with a little bit of starting nerves. But what's going through his head right now? What does he say to himself? Does he say, well, God, bomb diggity, what a couple of mistakes I made in that game. Well, probably doesn't use those quite words.
Gosh darn it.
Gosh darn it, I made a couple of mistakes in that game and I got run over. But I wonder what is going through his mind. Hopefully still pink unicorns, rainbows, and how to play StarCraft 2.
I think the pink unicorn's probably still there. But I think that in the end, in that first game, Starbuck never gained the momentum that he wanted to. He never had his plan come to full fruition that he wanted to. Obviously, again, we elaborated that he probably has something planned here, but it never hit that point. So now Starbuck just looks at game number 1, transitions onto Belshir Vestige here in game number 2, plays maybe a little bit more defensively, a little bit more wary of his surroundings, and then tries to get up to that position that he would want to.
Well, let's hope so. Belshir Vestige, of course, is a much smaller 2-player map. And definitely can show aggression. MMA, I think, is going to try to be on top of those sort of things. We'll see.
We shall see as we get into game number 2 here between Starbuck and MMA, fighting to move on to the winners game here in Group D, round of 16, WCS Europe season number 3. As we have, spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner, our Red Terran, representing Acer as well as Korea. Ladies and gents, give it up for MMA.
Looking very focused today.
And up to the top left, our Blue Zerg, representing MIA as well as Slovenia. Give it up for Starbuck.
Doesn't look too shaken, to be honest. Doesn't look too shaken.
Looks all right. Looks all right. And going into a map like Belshir Vestige, do you feel that Starbuck feels more comfortable on this map in comparison to Yonsu? There's not as much room on this map to start jumping around with Reapers. Obviously, Yonsu has that one at the back that can always pose a little bit of a threat. But MMA here, well, he's going for barracks. Yeah, I don't think Starbuck really will take too much of a, I'm happy I'm on this map now. I don't think so. No?
Because, I mean, what really, you know, apart from Reapers being able to jump in the main base, what did that map offer that really pushed Starbuck back? It was his own mistakes. It was never the map. And I really think that he's hopefully just refreshed his mind. Coming into this, all right, whatever, took a bit of damage early on. Let's now change that. And, I mean, it all started from the Hellions getting into the main base and losing 11, 13 drones. So.
I suppose you could make an argument for, you know, this map is a little bit easier to defend from Hellions. I would wager, if you put your evolution chambers in the most standard places, then focusing a lot of your attention there, as well as that only one little ledge on the next to the natural that the Reapers can jump up, then I think it is a little more defensively positioned than Yonsu.
All right, well, here's the hipster spawning pool going down on the right-hand side of the base, and a gas taken before the spawning pool as well. So taking a gas early on is going to offer him the ability to go straight up towards Zergling's speed, which is the most common. He could ignore that upgrade and go straight for roaches early on to try to do something like that. Sometimes can be good against Reaper openings. But we'll see what he's got planned here. Definitely something, otherwise he wouldn't have taken the gas like he did in game number 1.
And the Overlord pokes in. Doesn't see a command center just yet. This rally over straight from this Reaper just to head over to the base and start doing what MMA does best, which is keeping the Reaper alive, pretty much.
Yeah, he was looking to see if there's the command center in the wall, and he saw the SCV, so he knows it's Reaper expand again.
Yeah, and he'll try and defend against that with a few lings on the way just to buy time for those queens. Just 4 at the beginning. Will he add on any more? He has opportunity to, but not just yet.
Zergling speed researched, and he's taken 2 out of 3 out of gas here. First drone is getting targeted and does escape. Another one getting targeted here.
Nice micro so far.
Escape.
Very good control. Actually, really good control saving those 2. And, no, well, gas curse happens and then they both die. Damn it.
So a little bit unfortunate there, but,
that's close.
No.
But no cigar.
Yeah, so that's going to get away there. So 2 drones killed. Nice start here for MMA, who has fallen back onto everything else like he did in game number 1. Starbuck has an overload outside the main base, and actually he's just kind of poking. He's like, do I see that 3rd command center? No, not yet. I haven't seen it, but it is there. Just a single gas hit taken by MMA straight into that 3rd command center. It looks like Starbuck now, still out of gas. But it does have Zergling speed, so any other Reapers or Hellions will get pushed away easily. But what is he planning on doing now is the question. Does he go back into gas? Does he get a lot more drones now? Does he Seems so.
I think he plays it out again and just kind of wards himself against the damage that the Hellions did and try and deal with that a little better because they're on the way again. So MMA is going to test his opponent. He's like, well, that kind of worked well in game number 1. I'll go for it again.
He's only on 2 queens, isn't it? That's quite a big difference compared to normal.
Oh, is he?
Only 2 queens.
Oh, I didn't add on the extra.
No creep spread. No extra defense here. He set up a couple of lings here.
Double extra gas. So this leans more forwards towards something a bit more aggressive early on, right? Because if you don't have the creep spread later on, then you're not really committing more to your mid game and late game, etc.
Well, these lings are just not going to do very much.
No, they're going to get pushed away.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Roach Warren's come down here. It looks like we will be seeing like a Roach Baneling attack here, I think. The Roach Warren has started. I'm pretty sure we're going to see the Baneling Nest follow up this. Currently sitting at like 39 drones or so. And yeah, no, third hatchery comes down first, okay. But still, with the amount of gas he's got banked up, he's got no evolution chamber, he's got no layer. It looks at the moment along the lines of like a Roach Baneling attack.
Yeah, that third base going down, like, you know, you can use it just for purely for the lava if he is actually going to go for the aggression itself here. So that's not too bad for him. And the Zerglings, they see a scary, scary wall of units and have to run away because they're not going to do anything against those Hellions and Reapers. Yeah,
and here comes the Roaches. 8 Roaches here. And there is a barracks been added on here for MMA, not the engineering base. It's not the greediest of greediest builds. But at the moment, before those Roaches come out, these Hellions do have a bit of freedom.
They certainly do. And
they will spot this very early on, as in on the front door early on. He's like, oh, there's a lot of Roaches. Hey, buddy, what's up? What are you trying to do here? And then MMA's like, all right,
bunker.
Slap the bunkers down. All right, you're going to play like that. There's the Baneling Nest starting as well. And now it's going to come down to, very simply, if Starbuck is going to survive in this game and go to game number 3, he needs to break his opponent and kill him. Otherwise, MMA is going to have Stim. He's going to have the starport down soon. The factory's already finished. There's mines coming. It's an all-in. It's an all-in.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that is going for Starbuck is that his opponent doesn't have an engineering bay down yet, so his upgrades aren't exactly flourishing behind this, but it doesn't really matter. Whoa, this is a nice catch here with the Roaches.
Yeah, a couple of Hellions go down there, 2 Hellions, but there's a lot of bunkers completed.
There's a lot of bunkers, and they're really well placed as well. Just not like up tight next to one another where the Banelings can connect with, you know, one and do splash to the other. So these Banelings are going to have a really, really hard time of doing the optimal damage that they want. They're going to have to be used just to break through, and then from that point on, breaking down that bunker wall is going to be difficult.
Yeah, MMA is having a quick look down that ramp with his Hellions. He's got mines in position. He's got 3 bunkers. He has a couple more mines on the way. The starport's finished now as well. And we do have the engineering base coming too, so he really needs to break him here. Is it going to be possible?
Stim finished, so that's going to make it a little bit easier for this bio to really handle this. That's a lot of Banelings.
That's a lot of Banelings. He does have 51 army supply to 38 here.
22 Banelings with 9 more morphing in, so he's going to have 30 Banelings to try and bust this down. The wall walk forwards. 1 bunker goes down, but it wasn't populated with much. And the Banelings, they're so indecisive. They're like, well, where do I go? This is so well defended.
Yeah, and so far, he's broken through a lot of supply depots. He's broken through the front army, but there's another bunker at the north here. I'm not too sure if he's really breaking MMA at this point, though. Look at how well defended that was, and now the reinforcements, more Banelings, the wall's going to be remade. And now we have the upgrades on the way. I'm sure we'll see Medivacs come out from the starport soon. He didn't exactly kill him, and he didn't either exactly destroy a lot of SCVs either.
Yeah, it's like...
And now drones are starting up.
With the 3 command centers behind that, there's going to be a lot of, you know, replenishment of those SCVs. And again, as a Terran player in that situation, you are going to take some damage to your army. Guaranteed. You are going to go trade for trade to a lesser extent as the Zerg, you know... invests a lot into that, especially with all the lava that gets committed to that. But aside from that, MMA, yeah, he's doing all right. All
right, well, what Starbuck's trying to hope on now to be able to equalize this game, or at least do a lot of damage, is at this point your opponent's going to go and attack, right? Because they got an advantage, they got Medivacs.
Yeah.
So Starbuck's actually set up a counterattack again. He has a bunch of Zerglings down the bottom left, and he's probably going to use them to run into the natural soon when he sees an opportunity present itself.
Yeah.
And that should be very soon.
And MMA, you know, you just read that really, really well. You know, didn't have any more Hellions on the way, got the Widow Mines out nice and tight, and now with this drop aggression that's on the way, and not salvaging any of the bunkers, knowing that his opponent could go for aggression, whoa, well, that Widow Mine actually didn't give a very good connection. It could have, but Starbuck did control that well. He gets in.
He's got a lot of links there, but he's also got to deal with his drop on the other side of the map as well.
That was a good run by there by Starbuck. And, well, this is doing quite a bit of damage as well. Those Marines are so well placed for Zerglings to try and wrap around them. He has to clean it up with Banelings.
Yeah, and there's mines there. Nice pick up from MMA. The problem is as well, is there's 1-1 going to be completed soon for MMA.
Yeah.
And the evolution chambers haven't even gone to work yet. There are a couple of Banelings that have made their way to the top right of this base.
Oh, I loved doing this when I was
there's
playing
not too many
Zerg.
SCVs to kill though, is there? There's like, what, 4 maybe? 1, 4. So 4 killed there, not the best.
Yeah. He's killed 17 workers over the entire course of the game, so that's not too bad.
Yeah.
But and it is 53 drones to 39 SCVs. So, but he's again 3 command centers going to be able to even up that a little bit quicker, and his army supply is much higher.
Yeah, I mean, MMA's at 70 army supply at this moment, is going to start moving across the map very soon and put the pressure on. His 1-1's done. I didn't notice the armory being built. No, it is built, sorry. Okay, excuse me. All right, so at this point now, just the drops continuing on. 1-1 now starting a big deficit when it comes to the upgrades here and supply count, but MMA's a little bit supply capped, 113.
He is, and that's going to hurt his kind of push across the map if he actually wants to go for something super aggressive, but he's not parading just yet. He's not in that position right now. He's going to poke forwards with this army, and with 1-1, does a lot of damage, and Centrifugal Hooks is still not finished.
His Banelings die real fast.
Yeah, they do.
And there's mines here to get these other ones.
Oh, bye-bye, Banelings. Oh, that hurts. That really hurts. Starbuck needed those to actually clean this up. The Zerglings, they just sacrificed themselves, and MMA is just completely ransacking
It's
this
like watching that film, what's it called? The Last Samurai. Where the lings are just running at this.
With the Gatling guns, it's like, oh, you're not going to get past here. Sorry, guys. And yeah, this is a sore sight here for Starbuck. He's plummeting down in terms of supply. These Zerglings are the last hope for him.
Yeah, and there's a mine there, and there's already Marines waiting. The Natural's dead, and so is Starbuck. GG. MMA will pick up the 2-0, and we'll move on to the winners match.
So good job by MMA, keeping his composure and just moving on to that winners match. But for Starbuck, this was always going to be, I would say, the hardest series in this group. Going up against the Terran, which isn't his strong point, whereas going up against Protoss, he feels he's a bit more confident in.
Yep, that's right. So hopefully he can bring a better performance when it comes to playing against the Protoss players that he has to go up against eventually here with his losers match, and then maybe the final match if he can make his way through that. But it is, of course, MMA that moves into prime position now in that winners match to play one more series and then move out in first place. Remember, he's the last Terran here to represent of all of the World Championship Series in Europe. And to be honest, if we combine career as well, so far could be the only one through both.
Yeah, Terran's not doing so well, apparently.
Goddamn innovation.
Goddamn. Well, we'll see him next season, I guess. So that means we now have an interview with the winner, Acer MMA, along with Red Eye.
Thank you. Yes, with MMA, a fairly straightforward 2-0 win. Before you came into this game, how much did you know about the young Starbuck?
이 게임 하기 전에 스타벅 선수에 대해서 얼마나 알고 있었는지.
일단 루시프론 선수를 이겼다는 걸 알고 있었고 루시프론 선수랑 한 경기를 좀 많이 참고했어.
I knew that he won against Lucifron, so I watched his game against Lucifron and analyzed it.
Okay, so learned a lot from that game. Obviously, that was the same, TVZ. In terms of the way that you played against him, did you have a game plan from the moment that you started the game? Did you have a specific aim in both maps?
정확한 계획을 짜가지고 전략을 짜서 상대를 준비했는지 아니면 그냥 기본기로 이렇게 상대를 했는지.
기본기.
So I just used my basic skills.
Okay, so nothing special. Okay, so in terms of the way that you played against him, he's 16 years old. He's almost brand new to WCS, obviously, first time here. Do you have any words of advice for him?
스타벅 선수가 16살에 처음으로 WCS 온 선수인데 좀 조언을 해준다면 베테랑으로서.
일단 나보다 형인 줄 알았고 너무 어린데 아직 그 성적 낼 그게 많으니까 오늘은 내가 올라가는 걸로.
First of all, I thought he's older than me, and he's still young, so he has a lot of time to improve himself and get better results. So this time I'll go forward.
Okay, one last question. BlizzCon, obviously means a lot to you. I know that you really want to be there. You're not quite there in terms of points, so you have to go very deep in WCS Europe, and you really have to do well at the season finals. How much more pressure does that add to you in terms of winning every game?
비즈컨이 엄청 문성환 선수한테 엄청 중요한 걸 알고 있는데 그만큼 WCS 유럽에서 이제 점수를 많이 얻어야 되는데 그것 때문에 부담감이 좀 있는지.
부담감 안 가지려고 해도 계속 부담감이 좀 생겨서 좀 마음 편하게 하겠다는 생각으로 경기를 임하는데 하면서 좀 나도 모르게 계속 NYM이 계속 생각나서 좀 부담이 많이 되는 건 사실이야.
I always try to not think about it, to not play under pressure, but I always kind of have to think about Anaheim because it was so exciting last time. So a little bit of pressure.
Okay, well, best of luck in the winner's game, and congratulations on winning the first match. MMA is our first winner of this evening. We'll go on to game 2 in a moment and find out who he's going to play. But first of all, let's hear from Grubby on his thoughts on match number 1.
Yeah, good day there. Lovely StarCraft 2 fans out there. Man, I love MMA. So kind, so humble. Kind words for his opponent, Starbuck. 2-0 defeat. Probably the best thing that could have happened for Starbuck. Why? Same thing that happened to him in the round of 32. He started off with a 0-2 defeat, which just seems to be what he needs to win the other 2 games. So hope is still there for Starbuck and for all his fans out there, including our Slovenian fans here in the crowd. But let's take a critical look anyway at the games. I've asked to bring up game 2 here. Game 1 kind of already over when the 4 Hellions got in and killed 13 drones. For game 2, it's a little bit interesting to make a comparison and look back to yesterday if you've been watching, and if not, I'll give you a short summary, very short. Thorzane versus, wait, what was it? Thorzane versus Nurcho. Nurcho was doing a Roach Baneling attack against Thorzane, and Thorzane was going for the same opening as MMA, but instead of a 2nd and 3rd barracks, he got his 2 E-base first. So he was investing even a little bit more in the late game, and he was a little bit more greedy. Moreover, Thorzane's 6 Hellions, because the situation was really very similar, they were at the 2nd Zelnaga tower. The upper one. Yeah, the upper one. The Hellions were all here. They were kind of chilling. And it was because he was doing some things in his base, and really they weren't moving. And one very important objective for the Hellions, just like Phoenixes in PvZ for Protoss, you got to be active with them. You constantly got to be there. You don't want to take any real damage, but you want to do as much as you can. But most importantly, you want to get all this scouting info. Hellions are right here, and they see the roaches coming out. As we just start to play the replay, there are some Zerglings, and the first roaches come out. And there was no way that MMA wasn't going to see it. He was physically in range of the larva popping, so he has 45 seconds more or more to prepare than what Thorzane had. Same unit count. If we look at the units, Thorzane had the 6 Hellions and 4 Marines. That's what MMA has as well. But he has the luxury of being able to start his bunkers, preparing mentally, not to be underestimated, and making exactly the right units. We're going to see Marauders coming from the Tech Lab barracks. We're going to see Marines coming, as many units as possible, Widow Mines from the factory, and that's a luxury that Thorzane had and that you can scarcely afford to omit. Here in come the Roaches and the Banelings, and then just besides the fact that it got scouted really early and that the MMA was just on top of everything, really impressive, we saw a little bit of indecision coming from Starbuck in his micro, and it might just be those nerfs that we kind of alluded to already before the game. Look at the Baneling, wrong side, Baneling moving up, wrong side. Now, I'm not quite sure why that's happening. Could be, makes most sense, that he's trying to dodge Widowmine shots. You want to tank them with the Roaches, but there's a lot of time lost there. Bunkers really nicely spread out. MMA's meat grinder killing all these units. And although Starbuck eventually ended up doing better than in the first game, with a lot of counterattacks, with SCVs being killed, the cute little move there with the 2 Banelings in the main base later, he never really looked like he was on equal footing with MMA, always being down a lot of supply. And in the end, it looked a little bit like a class of difference between these 2 players. But there's no shame in being a class under MMA. He's really, really good. And still, I feel like we haven't yet seen the full true potential of Starbuck, just like MMA said. Thanks for listening. Now we head over to Paul.
Thank you, Sir Grubby, with the analysis and the weather there, of course. The end of our first game also signifies the chance for you guys at home to win a collector's edition of Heart of the Swarm, courtesy of our friends at Blizzard. You can see we have a shrink-wrapped, red-eye-proofed version here in the studio that I'm not possibly going to pick up because my drops are better than innovations. See, they got that one in the crowd as well. So, we are going to have a competition for you to win that collector's edition. All you've got to do is very straightforward. Go to your Twitter and tell us in which order every single player will finish tonight in Group D. That means you put 1, MMA, number 2, Starbuck, number 3, whatever you want. So, the 4 players that are playing, order them 1, 2, 3, 4. And those that get the correct order at the end of the night, we'll have a chance to win the Heart of the Swarm Collector's Edition. If there are more than one winner, we'll select one from random, okay? So you have to get these in by the end of the second match. I didn't make that clear yesterday. I was a bit confusing. But by the end of the next game, you must have had your predictions in, because otherwise you'll have watched the first two matches and then, you know, you'll pretty much know the order, half of it anyway. So it doesn't really make much sense after then. So up to the end of this next game, send us your submissions. Here's how you do it. Label each player 1, 2, 3, and 4 and include the hashtag #WCS. If you don't include the hashtag, your entry will be null and void. So make sure you enter and we'll get you a free copy, a collector's edition signed by all the players and the commentators from this evening in Group D, winging its way off to you via the pigeon mail. Right, it's time to take a very quick break. When we come back, game number 2 will be on. Let's see whether the defending European champion can hold up again and maybe take a second consecutive title. We'll see you after the break.